Greetings and salutations. I'm Amanda Bralley, and I'm honored to serve as Worship Associate today for our beloved congregation. On behalf of all our members and friends and staff, I welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta North congregation, which we affectionately call UUMAN. We are a proud liberal faith community and a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Our mission is as follows: nurture our spirit, strive for justice, transform the world. And our vision is, UUMAN is a vital and visible community for all, bravely working towards the day when social, economic, and environmental justice are a reality. If you are visiting online with us for the first time, we gratefully welcome you for choosing to spend some time with us. Please reach out to membership@uuman.org, that's UUMAN.org, via email for more info, or please feel free to fill out our online visitor form, which you can access from the homepage of our website, www.uuman.org. And somebody from our membership team will be happy to contact you. We will also be having an online Google Meet coffee and conversation check-in session at 10:45 this morning if you are watching live. The link for this can also be found on the homepage of our website. Again, that's UUMAN, UUMAN.org. Feel free to email communications@uuman.org to be added to our newsletter and stay updated on announcements. And again, I welcome you to UUMAN.
In the United States today, 1 child out of 6 lives in poverty. Families with children make up 35% of the people in this country who experience homelessness. That's why UUMAN's work with Family Promise, this week's 50-50 recipient, is so important. Family Promise keeps homeless husbands and wives together as a family with their children, sheltering with 18 different congregations in the North Fulton-DeKalb area, including UUMAN. Family Promise provides a 90-day shelter program that includes housing, meals, career counseling, and money management classes, as well as support services for individuals and seniors in the community who are homeless but don't officially qualify for the shelter program. The Family Promise model is a shining example of how community can work. Imagine a network of congregations, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, and Unitarian, coming together to provide food and shelter to our neighbors in need. Then imagine doing it for 1/3 less than traditional shelters, thanks to the truly voluntary nature of the Family Promise model. COVID has been difficult for all of us, but it's been especially challenging for families experiencing situational homelessness. Human support of Family Promise, introduced by Reverend Dave, is one of the most important activities we participate in. It's a beautiful example of how we can extend ourselves within our community to put our principles and values into action. Please help Family Promise help families stay together and realize a better future.
So now let us prepare our hearts, our minds, and our spirits for worship, for quiet contemplation, quieting ourselves, being still, being here, just being now, in this moment, in this virtual space with each other, remembering that we are each of us part of the vast, interconnected web of all existence. Whoever you are, whatever color you are, whomever you love, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Hi, UUMAN friends. It's me, Amanda, again. And I was asked to talk a little bit about how special UUMAN is to me and what it means to me. And it reminded me of a little anecdote that I heard about the Buddha. And some people believe or have sort of a misconception or an idea that Buddhism is an atheistic set of beliefs. And this is not really true. And I heard the anecdote that one of the followers, disciples of the Buddha, asked him, Master, why do you not speak of God? Why don't you, what does God want and need from us, and etc.? And Buddha said, how do you speak of the unspeakable? And that is honestly how I feel about UUMAN. I could definitely go on about the fulfillment that I receive from being a part of UUMAN, and just the amazing relationships that I have found here. But it is unspeakable for me to talk about the spiritual sustenance and satisfaction that I receive from our services, from being involved in the choir, and now at this point with the worship committee. And I feel very grateful that I'm able to contribute in this way to our beloved congregation, which I know that you love too if you've been a part of us for any period of time. And with that in mind, I'd like to remind everyone to turn in their stewardship campaign pledges. And the campaign ends March 20th. So this is airing on March 14th. And you'll have 6 days. Yes. But yeah, thanks again.
Good morning. It's been one full year since we met together in person on Sundays due to the COVID-19 pandemic. 1 full year. It's been a difficult and anxious year for so many. Yet the topic of today's service is the Tao of Yogi Berra. Baseball season is just around the corner. Now you may have heard that wisdom can't be fun, that no fun can be had in the middle of a pandemic, that the future ain't what it used to be, that a nickel ain't worth a dime anymore. If the world were perfect, it wouldn't be, because even Napoleon had his Watergate. Well, I'm here to tell you that half the lies they tell about us aren't true, that we really didn't say everything we said, and that if you ask us a question we don't know, we're not going to answer. Actually, we wish we had an answer to that because we're tired of answering that question. So, let's lighten up. Take a deep breath. Let's not allow a pandemic to take away our whimsy and humor. Play ball.
The Chalice Lighting today comes from the Worship web app that has been put out by the UUA. I really love this app and I encourage you to download it. This one is written by Tara Humphreys. Whether you are from the South, the East, the North, or the West, whether you were born into this faith, found it, or it found you, whether you feel at home or are still trying to find your place, whether you believe in God, are open to mystery, or still have no idea, whether you are unemployed, underemployed, cobbling things together, overworking, or in school, whether you are holding anxiety, grief, confusion, anger, hope, restlessness, or deep peace, Unitarian Universalism has a place for you. It is right here, and this chalice is lit for you. Now is the time in our service when we share with each other any joys in order to multiply their blessing, as well as sorrows to divide the weight of their burden. Please use the chat feature on YouTube now to share yours if you are tuning into the service live this morning. Elizabeth Norris sent a joy and a sorrow. Jack, the sweet old dog they cared for since last summer when their neighbor's house burned to the ground, has gone back to live with his owner. And they will miss Jack very much, who was a wonderful companion to them in difficult times, but they're so glad that his owner has recovered enough from the loss of his home that he's able to have his dog back with him again. And they wish them both all the best. And their foster parenting journey continues with a baby boy who will be coming to stay with us on St. Patrick's Day, she says. And they are very much looking forward to having him with them. And St. Patrick's Day is a very special day for me as well. We will drop a proverbial pebble for those joys and sorrows too tender to share. And thank you for sharing your joys and sorrows with us, UUMAN.
In baseball, a perfect game is one where one team's play is so good that the players of the other team never even get a single runner onto the bases. It means that one of the teams didn't get a hit or get on base due to a walk or an error. They have no base runners for the entire game. Every person who comes up to bat is out on that team. That's called a perfect game. It's very rare. In over 200,000 Major League Baseball games played, there have been only 23 perfect games. Now, most of the credit for a perfect game goes to the pitcher. Although it's a team sport and the players in the field have to catch balls and throw people out and not make errors, most of the credit goes to the pitcher because he's doing most of the work. Now, on June 10th, 2010, the Detroit Tigers were hosting their division rivals, the Cleveland Indians. And pitching for Detroit was Armando Galarraga. And he was pitching a perfect game against Cleveland. It came down to the final out. There were 26 batters for Cleveland, and 26 of them got out. None of them reached base. There was one player left. This final player hit the ball. It went between the pitcher and the first baseman. And on that play, the pitcher lets the ball go by and lets the first baseman field it. The pitcher runs over to first base, and the first baseman will throw him the ball. The pitcher catches it, touches the first base, hopefully before the batter who's running down to first base gets there. That's how that runner would be out. Well, anyway, this play, final play, was close, but not too close. It was obvious to everyone that the pitcher touched first base before the runner got there, and the runner was out. The Tigers began to celebrate. Armando Galarraga had just pitched a perfect game. The crowd was going crazy. But wait, the umpire called the batter safe. Umpire Jim Joyce had been in the major leagues for over 20 years. He was an umpire for 2 World Series, several All-Star games. He was well respected. But after this play, the fans started to boo. Detroit's coach came out and argued. But at the time, there was no replay in baseball. There were no takebacks. The call was final. The runner was safe. It was a mistake, though. The next batter came up. Pitcher Galarraga got that batter out, and the game was over. But it wasn't a perfect game, not even a no-hitter, as it should have been. After the game, umpire Joyce went into the umpire's locker room and saw the replay of that play, and he knew that he had made a mistake. He had missed that call. And he did something that umpires never do. He walked over to the Detroit locker room with tears in his eyes, and he apologized to Armando Galarraga. The next day, before the next game, the same two teams were playing again. And in front of both teams, all the fans that were still a bit angry at umpire Joyce, all the fans were still angry, but right before the game, pitcher Armando Galarraga got up, went onto the field, smiling, and shook hands with umpire Joyce. It was a public statement of acceptance of forgiveness. And everyone, the players, the people in the stands, umpire Joyce, pitcher Galarraga, they all began to feel much better. Pitcher Armando Galarraga and umpire Joyce would later become friends, and they even wrote a book together called Nobody's Perfect. Because of an umpire's honest mistake, there was no perfect game that day, no baseball history. Yet they made history of a different sort. Their public display of forgiveness, acceptance, and sportsmanship has become an example for us all. here is the audience participation portion of this service. We'd like to give you the opportunity to write in the chat your all-time favorite memory or memories here at UUMAN. It could be anything, something meaningful that happened, something funny, something touching, something ridiculous, something that made you laugh, something that made you cry. It could be anything. So we're going to play some music for a few minutes, give you some time to collect your thoughts, and write this memory or a few memories of UUMAN in the chat. You've got to be very careful if you don't know where you're going, because you might not get there. This is the ineffable, the numinous, the paradoxical wisdom of that great baseball sage, Yogi Berra. Wait, really? Not baseball sage, just sage. Yogi's sagacious sagacity was bigger than baseball. You've got to be very careful if you don't know where you're going, because you might not get there. Maybe this quotation might explain any mysterious anxiety I had prior to UUMAN's doing its mission and vision work a few years ago, because this work was supposed to determine just where it is we're going. Yet, thinking about this more deeply, if we had never done our mission and vision work in light of this quotation, not getting somewhere because we don't know where we're going, would that result in any anxiety at all? Or maybe an avoidance of anxiety? Or maybe an ignorance of anything to be anxious about? This has quickly become a deep philosophical puzzle. Very deep. Yogi wasn't kidding when he said, we have deep depth. Again, wow. Even his depth is deep. I'm struggling with this. I'm confused. I'm feeling lost. Should I be concerned? I don't think Yogi would want me to be concerned. He was known to have said, we're lost, but we're making good time. We knew we were going to take the wrong train, so we left early. So there, all will be well, I think. Maybe this will help me. He says, if you don't set goals, you can't regret not reaching them. Okay, that makes me feel better. That makes sense. Now I get it. I mean, what did I just get? There you go again, Yogi. Another philosophical trap, another mind game. I need to think about this. I need to focus my attention and concentrate. I need to think and concentrate about this. But wait, that won't work because Yogi said, I can't concentrate when I'm thinking. Okay, maybe I need to stop thinking. Maybe all this thinking is just cluttering up my mind. But if I stop thinking in order to concentrate, why and how do I concentrate? And to what end? Well, I suppose to understand the nature of reality. And I can do that through observation. Yes, Yogi said you can observe a lot by just watching. Precisely. Why didn't I think of that? Probably, Yogi would say, probably because you're doing all this thinking all the time. And he'd be right. Thank you, Yogi. No thinking, no confusion. I can simply observe a lot by just watching. Now I'm getting somewhere. I seem to understand what he's talking about, at least in theory. Now I simply just have to put that theory into practice. Well, let's see what Yogi says about how we can do this. He says, in theory, there's no difference between theory and practice. Great, that should be easy. But wait, there's more. He says, in theory, there's no difference between theory and practice. In practice, there is. Wait, what does that even mean? In theory, there's no difference between theory and practice. In practice, there is. What does that mean? If A equals B, then B equals A, right? I mean, isn't that the identity principle in mathematics? Does this not hold true in Yogi's universe? I thought I had it, but now I'm confused. And wasn't I just confused a few moments ago, and I'm confused again? Goodness, this is deja vu all over again. You know, the first time I read the Tao Te Ching, I was confused. Much of it seemed bass-backwards. It didn't seem to make sense. It didn't seem to have direction to it. I was looking forward to some goal, yet I couldn't find it. It wasn't until later that I began to realize that the goal, if you could even call it that, was actually not forward, actually not in front of me, but behind me. The Tao Te Ching is a book of undoing, uncovering, rediscovering without searching. There's no need to search for what is inherent. We simply need to unlearn, cut away that which is covering, hiding, and obscuring our true nature. Yogi says, You got to be very careful if you don't know where you're going because you might not get there. The Tao Te Ching says, other people have a purpose. I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. The master arrives without leaving. The great way is easy, yet people prefer side paths. Yogi says we have deep depth. The Tao says the master concerns himself with the depths and not the surface. Yogi says if you don't set goals, you can't regret not reaching them. The Tao says the master never expects results, and thus she is never disappointed. Yogi says, I can't concentrate when I'm thinking. The Tao says, stop thinking, and your problems will vanish. Empty your minds of all thoughts. Let your heart be at peace. Yogi has a method to see the world by blocking out all extraneous activities like thinking and judging, processing, in order to see things as they are. He says you can observe a lot by just watching. The Tao says the master observes the world, but trusts her inner vision. She allows things to come and go. Her heart is open as the sky. Yogi says, in theory, there's no difference between theory and practice. In practice, there is. The Tao Te Ching itself is a book of theory. It is not the practice itself. And the Tao Te Ching specifically says so. It says, the Tao that can be told, the Tao that's in this book written, is not the eternal Tao. The Tao Te Ching points the way, but it is not the way. Yogi didn't need to read the Tao Te Ching because he knew it instinctively. He was born in St. Louis in 1925. He served in the Navy during World War II, and he was present at the D-Day invasion, with his ship providing cover for both Omaha and Utah beaches. After the war, he began playing minor league baseball, eventually making it to the majors. He was an 18-time All-Star, 13-time World Series champion, 3-time American League Most Valuable Player. He was a member of Major League Baseball's All-Century team. He could seemingly hit any pitch inside or outside the strike zone. In 5 seasons, he had more home runs than strikeouts. And his endurance was legendary. As a catcher, the most physically demanding position on the field. He once caught every pitch of a 22-inning, 7-hour game. The Yankees won. But Yogi was bigger than baseball. He was the son of immigrants, yet he became part of Americana itself. He's universally described by like everyone who's met him as being genuine, authentic, humble, honest. He loved life. He was beloved to everyone because everyone was beloved to him. And he always had a smile on his face. He didn't need to read the Tao Te Ching. He embodied it.
At UUMAN, We give of our time, talents, and our treasure. The offering will now be gratefully received via the Givelify app by searching for UUMAN, UUMAN, and the Givelify app is spelled Givelify. Givelify. Thank you. Dear ones of UUMAN, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.
Yogi says, always go to other people's funerals, otherwise they won't go to yours. When ordering a pizza, always have them cut it into 4 slices, because you'll never be hungry enough to eat 6. Yogi Berra, he was one of a kind, a sage's sage, and over the long term, his wisdom will stand the test of necessity. Now, you'll probably know the final 2 words of this benediction. And when we get there, I want you to shout them out so that I can hear you, like you're at the ballpark. Yes, I'll hear you, and Yogi will too, when we get there. And you can type those words into the chat too, but when we get there. So here's Yogi's most important advice. Keep trying. Stay humble. Trust your instincts. Most importantly, act. If you come to a fork in the road, amen.